learned a little more about Python and I made something very interesting. I connected Python here on my computer with a Arduino and wow, I made it work. Well, it's a simple code, okay? It's not something very fancy for now. Now, remember, for now. And I'm just turning on and off a LED, but an LED. But well, I just want to show you. But first, if you have any interest in seeing exactly what code I'm doing, I made a version in Arduino there, the Arduino programming language, and it was the last video. It was not yesterday because yesterday I didn't make a video. We actually switch out the electric output in the it's not the I don't remember the name. Kitchen. Yes, sorry, I forgot the name in English. On the kitchen because we buy a new air fryer. So well, what can I say? We switch out the power outlet because you couldn't use adapters and there was no power outlet for it. And very interesting actually. I don't know. I found it really interesting. We did it ourselves, and that's my story of why I didn't make the video yesterday. But well, again, if you want to know exactly what we're doing, the last video is exactly the same code, exactly the same thing happening, but in Arduino. So well, what we've done here? What's this mistake? A good question. You can see I have the full here open, just no reason really. I can use this as a window, but well, now you guys can see. Sorry, now you guys can see every time I click the right button. Now you can see what if I'm running because usually run like this. So I'm going to place my camera right up here like this. Sorry for the mess, not my room. Or not for my cat, but here at the cables, you are going to see these like this. But let's first show you again. Now here we have an Arduino. That's what I'm using to connect. That's my the base of my code. I need the Arduino. And what's an Arduino? It's a microcontroller that allows me to control simple electronics pretty much like motors, electrical motors in this case. Yeah, we can control electric motors and energy flow basically. So it's a little computer. That's what I'm trying to say. So I have those little pins right here. You can see around. This is actually a bigger Arduino. This is an Arduino Mega because the little Arduino. I don't know if it's working, but it should be actually it does work fine, especially since I'm not using enough pins to justify an Omega. But basically what I'm doing here is that I have connected pins to this proto board, which is this little place where I just connect the electrical outputs so I can well make a LED turn on and off. So let me explain a little bit of this electronics. First I have the Arduino again. I have just 3 pins connected, so really simple in this portion. I have the communication pin, which is the yellow. This is the pin that will be sending the energy to the LED to it to well to it turn on. So I need some energy. This is the cable of energy I have. So well, this is something. This is actually from the connection, and I'm using pin 13. For those who know Arduino, usually pin 13 is used a lot for testing. So every time you reset your Arduino, every time you will it will send power for the pin 13. Well, for this, that's what I know. So every time I do this, it just shows. This is not the code I wrote down. This is how it is. So I have connected this to pin 13. this red one connected to 5 voltage, and this blue one is the ground. Now I go to my board, we see ground and the 5 volts connected to these lines. Now these lines work pretty different. Usually Arduino lines work uh, like this pretty much in a strict line, or in your case, as you can see here, a vertical line. But these two places here and here are separate pretty much. If I, not in this protoboard, but some protoboards you can just pretty much pop this out. It's pretty much a separate place because there are horizontal lines here, so the power goes from here to here. So that's pretty much what's happening. I have the resistor resistor connecting the ground pin to the rest of the circuit, which is where the lamp connects. And right at the side of my resistor, there is my communication, my 13 pin connected here, my LED. Now, the LED is very interesting. It has two legs. The short leg is the leg that will be taking I think if I remember correctly, short leg is for ground, and the long leg is for communication. So let me just pop this back in, and let's see it running pretty much. So I'm gonna hold my camera here. In this case, I'm gonna show you the code, and I will show it running, and I will explain exactly what. So I will run it here, and it asks me exactly what I want to do. And also you can see the delay. The delay is intentional, but I shortly explain this. Now it asks me if I want to turn it on and off with H. So I'm gonna press H, and you're gonna see H here, and boom, it's on. I can turn it off. I can turn it on again, and well, that's it. I can also quit. My code. Though this does nothing. I just disconnect from the Arduino pretty much. Here it will still run what I want it to run. Now, what's happening in my code here? What exactly made my connection? Let me show you. The principal parts, the most important parts of the code I must say is the SER on serial, the serial connection. I need to specify this specifically as call 9, right? Because if I don't, actually I had a problem with this. A short one, okay? I realized my mistake early on, but you need to have your connected to the right communication port, or it will just simply not work. Now, pretty much what here happens. I do a little loop, and I say that my user input is defined here, and now ask me H for high or high energy, or pretty much on, L for off, again low energy, and Q for quit. Now I define here by command user input encode. I will explain more this in detail, but pretty much here I'm compiling I encoding, or pretty much compiling the information I want to send to Arduino. I show exactly here. This is pretty much to show me that what I'm sending, or what's my command. Then I will actually send it to the Arduino, and just wait, and something will happen in the Arduino. Now let's explain this a little bit in detail. For the first two parts, or two lines of code, I'm just defining exactly my uh, libraries, because I need a library. So I define that I'm importing from the library serial and from the library design. Now the library serial is the connection from the serial ports. That means the connection in general. The most important here is the serial, because I need to connect to the Arduino. And then you need to actually install it. You go here in File, Settings, and you will have in Python interpreter. all of your libraries, and you need to install PySerial. So if you go to install, you just do this install and you search for PySerial because you need to connect it. It's necessary. Now the second one, you will probably won't need to do this unless you manually move it. The input time. Now time is just to do the delays. That's the only reason. Then I do a little bit printing. Now this print is just to pretty much simplify for the user, so the user can know exactly what they need. Or again, this printing will show exactly what their need. I'm not sorry need, but more of the informations. Just oh, you need to do this to happen. So defining that H is on, L is off, Q is quit, and then what this program is made for. You could do this all in a single print, but I mean it'd be kind of confusing because it will probably also take 4 lines because you need to do a space bar. But well, not really much different that would be. But here is just printing the information that you see when you're here. This this is the information it shows me, or in this case, also this on top. So this is what show me. Again, just for cosmetic, pretty much cosmetic, or for the user. Again, it's not cosmetic, but it's for the user to understand exactly what happened. If I wasn't the one programming this. Then I will define my connection. Now I'm defining that is the serial connection to the serial COM9 and 900 98 thousands timeout equal 1. Now I know that from this code, this is the communication port. Your computer might have, well, it's not mine. It probably, I'm pretty sure it will have those, and those are usually USB ports. And well, this is my USB ports. I have other things on other USB ports, so you need to find exactly. Now I find that Arduino is pretty good to use the Arduino Idle. If I just search here for a moment, you can see that it's really easy to find usually where the board is, because it says here in the port, it says what is connected to which. So you can see there's nothing from 3 to 4 to 8, and then it defines that their Con 9, which is one they're using, has the Arduino Genuino Mega, which, well, is exactly what I put here on Python. Now the rest of two, I think it's pretty much just the um, informations of how I want to connect it. So here is where to connect, and here are specifications to connect to it. Probably the speed, and probably something like the delay you might have. I'm not sure exactly for these two, but pretty much for what I understand, 9800 and timeout equal 1 is pretty much the default. It's probably very you need to alter it. Then I put time sleep. For what I understand, this time sleep is pretty much a delay. When I run this code again, you can see that this is delay. Here, I think it's more than 2 seconds. 1, 2, I mean almost 2 seconds. So I think pretty much this is the delay. If I don't have this on, for example, you will see that it will do automatically. Now, the reason that we put this delay is not just because might look cool, or for something like cosmetical reasons, but that's a very good estimate of the connection time. Now the connection time probably will be much faster, like in the range of milliseconds really. But to be sure that everything has been settled, there's just this wait of 2 seconds. It can be 1 second, can be less than 1 second, but that's depends for a lot. Depends on the Arduino, depends Of course, again, we need to remember that Python is a bit heavier, so when you want to encode it, it might take a longer. But again, a lot of things here. Now I define a variable, and it is interesting because usually we don't do this. But here I'm creating a user input, which is my variable, equals L. Now, capital L, upper or capital L to be more specific. It will become important later. Now, I define here a loop. Now, while my user input is different than Q, then run my I will run pretty much the code that I'm trying to do. That again, that is the turning on and off the light. So that's these, well, not eight, 4 lines of code are pretty much everything that happens that you can see in the Arduino. Now, it defines that the user input now will be defined as the input I put, and it tells me that H equals on, L equals off, and Q equals quick. Now, why I didn't just put this? After all, Python is a language that you don't need to create a variable before you use it, so I don't need it. But the reason is because I already defined that when I started my code, it will be off. The lamp will be off. So that's pretty much just a guarantee of that. Well, right then, I actually made a little bit configuration. Usually they don't put this, but since it's just an input, it's better when you want to type. As you can see here, you have the space bar. Pretty much here is just a cosmetic reason, or not exactly cosmetic, but a practical, not much practical reason. It just looks better in general. Then I create a variable called byte command, and the byte command equals user input dot encode. Pretty much that means that the byte command, which is the command that I sending to my Arduino, will be encoded, which is again the user input encoder, and this encode will be the bytes I'm using to send the information to the microchip. Again, it's a very simple communication really that works with pure bytes, as any computer does. So I'm just encoding this to the byte version pretty much. So I will send my command as encode, as a byte. Then I will print my exact command I trying to send, and it actually very interesting because if you see it, if I do a little short code here, it says BH. Now, why this B? Well, this B clarifies to me that it's in byte form. So pretty much this makes a translation. This is the byte. It shows me then this information here, the H, is in byte form. The variable itself is in byte form. Then I will do a zero write byte command. Pretty much means I will send the information. Now you can see these weird comments. Actually, you can see there are 2 comments, and I didn't make because I took this part because interestingly, this coding specifically doesn't fit in the course I'm doing, because the course I'm doing uses right away a sensor, which I find really interesting, but I wanted to do the basics, turning on and off light after all. But the code I was trying to follow didn't have, actually had a problem. Quite some actually. Here it was wrong. Put very weirdly because it was pretty much like this. So yeah, not a good thing to see. And also the center right, it was white lines equals byte, and the encode it wasn't a dot encode, it was encode, and then in parentheses the thing I want to encode. So I think that actually that code specifically shows that this was not Python. Python is much more friendly, user friendly. So you just put your variable and then what you want to encode. Something like Arduino may need you to define what the variable needs to be, then define the variable and its information. And that's what was the most that's what made me see that the code wasn't working. Also because Python told me it wasn't working, but I specifically saw that, well, it isn't. It's not because it's a little bit wrong. It's because it pretty much belongs to a different language. But again, I made it work here, and you can see this code actually works. Now, I send my byte command to the Arduino. Now the Arduino will just process it. Doesn't even need to process it very much. It just does what it says, and a time sleep of half a second. So I can do this over and over. Now I have actually a really interesting thing you can do is give a dot upper and just define here for the user. Then it needs to be an upper Q, and well, I think this will fail. I said it was interesting, but now I understand exactly why it isn't. It actually will fail. And I'll show you why. But first, let's show the working. So here I pressed H, which you can see here at my Arduino is, well, the LED turn on. Now I can go back to the screen. I can define it as L, and you know what? When you come back, it's off. Now I can turn here. You just show see here. Oops, I pressed something. Okay, L. So sorry, H L H L L. Now, why exactly did I send that? Well, it wouldn't work if it was an open queue, because you can see that I'm encoding the information. And so if I try this again, if I rerun this, and I try to quit, even though my queue is, well, upper queue, you can see that it won't work. The reason is because I'm sending, again, I'm just encoding to bytes, and at the upper queue, byte information that goes to Arduino doesn't mean nothing to it, just the lower case version. So don't put an upper, and if you do, you need to pretty much define something like that. If you press Q, the upper Q to, so pretty much if user equals if user input equals Q, then then you define the user input as Q lowercase in specifically, and then you send it or something like that. But well, you can see that it's working, and it's very interesting. Today's code though, today's day was a little bit longer, and if you want to relax a bit or try to understand this better, again, make sure to see my other videos. It helps a lot to understand exactly and how did you get into using Python in Arduino. Kind of weird. So we have actually a lot of things. I think this is video 24 or 25. Well, not including everything like the best thing about Arduinos. Arduinos about Python. So the pros and cons. And my video on Arduino specifically. So there's a lot of things, and if you're interested in those, definitely again check it out. But that's for today. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. This will not just help me because it shows you're very interested in those type of things, but also you don't need to have the hassle to every time you want to see, oh, those did a new video came out. You don't need to bother. You can just, the YouTube will just notify you about that. And well, again, if you have any questions or any comments, you can put them down below. Any ideas, any uses for this code specifically, or really anything you think about it, wonder about programming, or I mean anything, really, any comments you have, put them down below. But for today, that's it, and I hope to see you again